And now, Society Network presents Homegrown After Dark, featuring John Arthur Martinez. And we're back, Society's Network, Homegrown After Dark, and we brought in one of the hill country legends, as I call him, John Arthur Martinez. John, welcome back to the show.
A legend in about a half-county radius.
Yeah, you're still a legend in all our eyes. All right, John, I'm just going to, for the audience out there, get right down to the point. We had you here during the COVID days back in 2020, the last time you were on the show. So what have you been up to since the last time that we talked to you back in 2020 on the show?
Well, during that time period, as you know, I had fewer and fewer gigs, and many of those never came back because some of those venues didn't make it through. However, that said, things have just exploded the last 2 years for me. In two ways. First of all, I began doing more and more recording studio work, not only for myself and for my accomplices, Mike Blakely and John Greenberg, collectively as the Outlaw Firm, but also for other acts and other talent. Right now, in fact, I'm working on a project with a Christian songwriter named Randy Cate, and he's having me, he has me editing, tweaking, changing keys, helping him with arrangements. So everything involved in the creative process of not only, I shouldn't say rewriting the song, but like a publisher would do for a songwriter, editing the song and then making it ready for the recording process.
Okay, is that gentleman doing that in your studio?
He's doing that in my studio,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's just your studio.
I have a show and a show. I have a recording studio that I have used now since about 2020. In fact, it was during that time period that I created it. My daughters had all flown the coop, and they're doing well, standing on their own. And so all the extra family space that we had, I turned into a recording studio. In fact, I had our middle daughter Fallon, who is a nurse for Austin Independent School District. I said, your mom is not going to go for this unless I show her how it's going to look. I said, come on over here and help me move things around. Yeah. We moved all my merchandise upstairs to one of the rooms we weren't using. We turned the family room and the adjacent and adjoining room that was the storage room, and we made that combined walkway that was between the two into a vocal booth. The storage room is now my control room, and then of course the family room is a bigger room where I can cut percussion and drums and larger instruments.
Okay,
so it's turned out to be a full-fledged studio now.
Yeah, so I've noticed a couple of times a couple of different artists they're posting on there. Amber Westman being one of them.
Yes.
I know she was in y'all's Fiesta Jam, which we'll get back to in a second, but I noticed that she was in somebody's house, you know what I mean? He gives everything credit to you, but I'm like, I guarantee you that's John's studio.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so you built your own home studio during the COVID time. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, and you built your own studio. You brought in different artists. Now, is it like something somebody can contact you from the public and say, hey,
yes,
I would love for you to record
it's all on my website. You could go to johnarthurmartinez.net. And I reminded you the first time we did a podcast that .net is... remember the fact that I'm a tennis player, so so instead of going to .com, go to .net. Somebody in the Cayman Islands owns johnarthurmartinez.com, and he's been trying to sell it to me for years. I said, you can keep it, don't worry.
Yeah, keep it. Yeah, so the net must be from the tennis net, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome, man. So that's awesome. Okay, so you made it through there, and you said the last 2 years you have been really blessed, I guess, or... lack of better words, with, I guess, the incoming success from the last time we met, because it was pretty bad in COVID.
Well, I was talking to you about a tour that I was going to do through Europe, and it was canceled to 21, and then canceled again because Europe got really bad for a while there. From northern Italy was one of the worst places, if you remember from your history. And yes, and so if you crossed over into northern Italy, the other countries wouldn't let you come back in. So it got to be a mess. So we wound up doing it in 23. And each time that we postponed it, we got more gigs, more festivals. So we wound up going, the Anchor Festival was in Germany, a place called Saxony. That's in the old Eastern Germany. And most of the people who are above Gen X generation, they spoke Russian as a second language. Many of them didn't speak English, but here's the crazy thing, though. They love Texas. They love the United States. They love country music. And so I was there representing Texas as a Texas artist during a festival. What was it called? The Carl May Festival in honor of the author who wrote books about the Southwest. In fact, the lead character in his book was a Mescalero Apache. And the crazy thing is he wrote this all from his imagination and research. He'd never been to the Southwest. So, but anyway, every year, and he was one of their leading authors, and so this festival is in honor of him. Yeah. And we were there representing Texas. We did an event on the streets near Dresden on the Thursday. The Friday, we were the headliner there. Don't tell them any different. They think we're a headliner over there. So that's kind of.
I think they're headliners.
Well, it's kind of fun. But then on Friday, there's a huge band called Truck Stop, and they are a huge European band that great musicians, and they're serious about country music also. And so we opened for them on the Saturday, and then we did a matinee concert again on Sunday. So we played there Thursday through Sunday. It was just an amazing experience.
Okay, so I got to ask you on that band Truck Stop. Were they from here or they're from?
No, they're from Germany.
Germany, that's so cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I got one other question because I've had a couple of people come in here already. So when you're over on the tour, do you get meals when you're playing? Do they provide your food?
They take care of us like we're rock stars over there.
Okay, that's what
we have. We have guides that help us and are with us and travel with us in case there's somebody who doesn't speak English, so we can communicate. Okay. And the guide was the one who explained. He said, when this was under control of what was then the Soviet Union, he said they forced us to learn Russian as a second language, and forbid. Well, I shouldn't say forbid. Probably some of them probably still learn some English, yeah. But it wasn't the focus. Whereas in West Germany, English is another language that they speak, and I say another language because it isn't always their second language. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll speak French because they're on the border of France, and many of them will speak other languages too. So it's pretty interesting when you go to Europe because all those countries are so close and interconnected. Okay. But they almost all speak. At least two languages. Most of them speak three.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's a far contrast. If you can compare America to just a European lifestyle. All of us usually speak just English or Spanish. These guys speak multiple languages. Tells you something right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. So, are you planning to go back on a European tour, or?
We do want to go back. Usually, I go back when I release my own album, my own independent album, under my name, John Arthur Martinez. But I've been working on these other projects that mine has gone to the back burner because, my wife likes it when I pay the mortgage.
I understand it.
So anyway, in addition to that, I also started teaching tennis in 2020 again, like I used to, just to have the added income.
Right.
And so
you're still doing that now here in 2020.
And I'm still doing that with a few select clients that are willing to work on my schedule. Because if I tell them, I said, hey, if I get a gig or a tour, the lesson's canceled, and you understand that, and they do.
That's cool. I just still playing tennis. Blows my mind.
Still loving it.
Where do you find time for it all, John?
Well, let me get more comfortable in this too here. There's only, I don't know if you know this, but there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yes.
So I have to prioritize, and of course I have to make sure my wife and family are first, but my music's right in there with it because that's who I am. And so tennis is the next thing. It keeps me healthy, first of all, to do, because in these tennis lessons that I do, I incorporate exercise for myself as well. Okay. But that said, and then the recording studio, of course, is the other component that's a regular part of my life. But I should finish the story very quickly, though, that this tour that we did included
The past tour in Europe.
Yes, included Switzerland, France, Spain, Austria, and a non-performing visit to Prague, because I told the band, I said, we're so close to Prague, we ought to go there and visit. And the fiddler says, I want to go. And so everybody unanimously said, okay, because I didn't want to force that on them if they didn't want to go.
No, I got to see all those pictures, actually.
Yeah.
I got to live, I guess, that part of y'all's tour through Cindy, BB's wife, because she was just posted so many pictures, And I just want to make sure, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, I'm going to have you for another interview sooner or later, so I need to pay attention. So, okay, that's awesome. So I got to ask you a question about the tennis and the music before we move on a little bit further. I believe in manifest destiny completely. Do you think that when I know the history of your tennis, you left tennis because I guess you were going to be professional, right?
Well, I don't know if that was certainly a goal that almost anybody who devotes their life to a sport. It's maybe not necessarily a goal that everyone can reach, but it was certainly a dream of mine.
Right. So you think and you hurt your knee, correct?
I hurt one knee and then the other,
so that's why I was talking about the manifest destiny.
Yes.
Do you think that maybe somehow that happened because this was supposed to happen? Going on
certainly, because all of those hours that I devoted to tennis suddenly were devoted to songwriting initially. And in order to write songs, you had to get better at playing guitar. Okay. And so the guitar was a big part of it. So guitar and songwriting helped fill that void, certainly.
Okay. So this interview is a little bit different. As I explained to you when you come in, we're doing John's interview right now at the end of the show, and we'll play a couple songs from your latest album.
Sure.
If you don't mind for the crowd. And it'll have a lot of good information in the background that you can find for John, which he'll explain it all at the end of the show anyways for you. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about this awesome album we got right here.
Well, these guys right here, Blakely, Greenberg, and Martinez, we decided early on that Blakely, Greenberg, and Martinez sounds a little too much like a law firm in San Antonio. So we.
Let me get you. I'm taking it right up to the camera. Because these lights in front of us are going to blind you. So you see right there? That's vinyl. I'm going to give them a picture of the back too. I think it's really cool. So let's get it back in there. There you go. And these guys literally looked the part in that picture.
Well, so I told John Greenberg that, and he responded, well, how about instead of a law firm, we call it the Outlaw Firm. And that's how we came up with the name. And it works pretty good. And, of course, we always still put in parentheses Blakely, Greenberg, and Martinez. For those of you who don't know Mike Blakely, he's an award-winning author and songwriter, both. And both of those categories, he's won numerous awards. And John Greenberg has also. John was a founding member of the Mystic Heroes with Walt Wilkins, an award-winning, critically acclaimed band that featured songwriting and harmonies. And, of course, I've had my own successes. So together we're stronger as a unit than we are individually. And these guys, when they sing on my songs, it sounds like Crosby, Stills, and Nash because their harmonies are so good.
Yeah, so how did you meet, get the Greenberg name? How did you meet him?
Well, first of all, I better backtrack. I met Blakely through a Country Music Association Hall of Fame member, Floyd Tillman, who lived in the community.
Yes.
I was doing a concert series with Floyd, and he invited Mike to come to the concert. And he says, John Arthur, I want you to meet my good friend Mike Blakely. He just did an article about me for Texas Highways magazine. Okay. And so I met Mike, and Mike got up and I surprised him. I said, well, if Floyd thinks you're worthy, then why don't you get up and do a song? And so Mike got up and did a song during that first meeting that we had, and we've been writing songs ever since. Yeah. And so Mike and I both had this connection with Larry Nye, who has a recording studio in Kingsland.
Yes.
Larry Nye was the bass player and guitar player for Steve Fromholtz and Rusty Weir, many other legends. He played with Michael Murphy, Eric Johnson. I could go on and on, but Mike was doing a project with John Greenberg, and so Larry Nye was doing a project with John Greenberg at his studio in Kingsland. So he introduced us to John Greenberg. So that's how we all met.
And so just started, y'all met over at Larry Nye's place, and it's like, man, we're clicking. We're gonna.
Well, John's got some great songs. He really does.
Yeah.
And you know Mike Blakely does.
Yeah, Mike's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to interview him back on the KB days, and I'm going to get him in here. So he'll be the next one I won't leave alone as soon as you leave.
I love it.
You know, get as many out. Okay, so you got the Outlaw Firm coming out, and you also have a couple of other bands. You know, I know I did that Ed Chandler benefit, and you came in with Tejas.
Well, my band Tejas, I've been using that name for over 30 years. And so that's why nobody is. There are other bands who've used the Tejas name.
Yeah.
You know, because it's of course it's the Indian name for the Tejas Indians, meaning the friendly Indians. That's where our great state gets its name.
Yeah,
and so
don't know that.
Yeah. So I use that name, John Arthur Martinez and Tejas, but Tejas includes. So, you know, some of the best musicians on the planet, and they happen to live here in the Hill Country, like B.B. Morse, who you will have in one of your interviews next week, who's gone to every tour that I've done with the band in Europe. And the others, Chris Reeves lives in Burnett, has been playing with me going on 20 years.
Yeah, Superman on a guitar, because that man can sling those strings.
Luis Coutinho de Souza from Rio de Janeiro has been playing with me for 20 years.
Yeah, that's wild, man. So I'm Kurt as well.
Yeah, Kurt Balmer on the fiddle has been playing with me going on 18 years. And then Mark Epstein on the bass fills in when BB, because BB's pretty busy with the Troubadours and his own band and his wife's duo. So anyway, it's just a great ensemble, and then it's fun to add in guest musicians. Like last weekend, I had a Grammy Award recognized and winning accordionist with the band Los Tex Maniacs. I had Josh Baca with me last week. So I just try to bring in as many great musicians. I want to be the weakest musician on the stage.
He's not. He's one of the best musicians on the stage.
Well, I'm a good rhythm player. I'm a good band leader. Yeah. I write songs that I think people want to hear. But technically, those musicians that I bring are incredible.
You know, I got to tell a story. When I brought up that benefit earlier, and John actually played it with his band Tejas, and he come up to my board and he's just like, what kind of board you got? And I told him what I had, and he's like, okay, adjust this, and this, and I adjust it, and guess what? Our own music hasn't sounded any better. He knew my board better than I do, and he didn't even look at it.
Well, so. You may remember from our previous interview, previous interview, that I went to the recording workshop in Chillicothe, Ohio. And I got an associate's degree in recording engineering and sound engineering. So I wanted to be able to learn as much about this process as possible, because I can't always afford to hire a world-class sound engineer.
No, it's wild. You know, even my guys, they're like, what has changed about the sound in y'all's jam room? You know, we're private guys. We just stay at our jam room, but they're like, what changed? I said, well, what John did at the thing is we told me to set everything at. So everybody went back to, you know, because all of us all have our own jam room. So everybody went back to their own places and reset all their equipment with a picture from my board.
Well, it's a good starting point, and I'll give you an example. There are certain frequencies that are undesirable, and the concept is pretty simple. If you minimize those undesirable frequencies, then suddenly the desirable frequencies sound better.
Yes.
So rather than just boosting those frequencies, if you just remove the ugly frequencies, that leaves the better ones and it sounds more natural.
It does. It makes a total difference, and a lot of people don't realize that. So listen to what this gentleman just told you about your sounds, because they don't. You know, I watched a lot of videos of people playing at their live shows, and you know, at least this is getting a little bit of traction. So I actually have people outside the country music world asking me to come in inside this one band, said, would you please come watch us? But no, I knew the bartender there, so they put it live. I'm like, turn that off. They did really good, but it's gonna, you know, I'm not used to interviewing that hardcore metal or you know what I mean. I like the country music, but yeah, so maybe I'll go off in that way, because I know they're gonna watch the episode and see if I'm gonna say something.
Well, good music is good music. You know?
It is. It's something different, but you know, I'm thinking about, you know, expanding off in that direction and see how that goes, if I can make it through. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. So I remember a couple of 2023 Fiesta Jam, Los Lonely Boys.
Yes, when we had Los Lonely Boys, I think the community started realizing that we were trying to bring world-class talent into our community, and in the process bring awareness to the facts that most music programs need help from the community. And so we can't possibly raise everything that the high school band needs, or that the high school choir needs, or Harmony School of Creative Arts, but we can bring awareness to that. And so our 501c3 tries to do two things: put on a great event for the community, and in the process support youth music education.
And your partner in that 501c3 is Robert Linder, correct?
Robert and I created this together, and Robert Linder, of course, is an award-winning conductor who ran the School of Music and Fine Arts at Houston Baptist University for many years. And he's toured all over the world conducting as a guest conductor.
And there's nobody, I mean, you know, no one says anything bad about you, but there's nobody says anything, I mean, at all about Robert. Like, he's just the nicest, kindest man I've ever met in my life. It's crazy, man. So when you start asking, you know, so.
And so now that has grown to include, our board now is some of the movers and shakers in Texas music history. Tex Toller was added to our board of our working board that meets on a regular basis, and he founded events in Terlingua. He founded the Rock Stacking Championships. Oh, there's a dog that's getting through.
Yeah.
Chasing that cat.
They do.
Hey, so, but Tex is hosting the Rock Stacking Championships, World Championships in Atlanta that have become internationally renowned. People bring in groups from all over the world. He was also.
What did you say? Rock stacking.
Rock stacking.
Rock stacking. Okay.
Yeah, they do that in Atlanta, and it's crazy. It's become an international success. But anyway, he's on our board. We also have a new member named Leslie Parkhill Collier, and she was one of the founders of that event that first began in Round Rock, Old Settlers Music Festival. Now they do it near the Wimberley to Dripping Springs area.
Okay.
But anyway, I don't want to leave anybody out. But Richard Westerman is on our city council, but he's also our our most recent president since Robert stepped down as the president. Okay. Richard Westerman is the president now. So it's just a great team, and we, you know, I love working with those because they're all doers.
Yes, especially Richard. I mean, Richard.
Oh God, he does so much in a day. It's amazing.
I'm telling you, he's Babe Ruth of the music events here, here of late. No, he's amazing. I actually text back and forth with him all the time. And last time I saw him, I was like, "Here, that's your on my phone." And he laughed the governor. So I called the governor. So anytime he texts me back, people are around my jam room. They're looking at it. They're like, "Who's that?" It's the governor, man. You know, but it's really Richard Westerman. Cat's out of the bag now.
Well, speaking of governor, because of you and Richard, we're now declared a Texas music friendly city.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, you started it. I connected you with Richard, but you may have already been connected with him. But Richard helped pushed it through from our communities. From the city's perspective, you started the whole initiative.
Not really. I mean, you got to understand. John has been trying. I'm coming out. Yes, I'm a fan of John Arthur Martinez, but I mean, you started this a long time ago. I just believe when I came on the scene, you know what I mean. I went over to K-Bay. My first guest was John Arthur Martinez, and I still remember holding on the desk shaking. That was first interview, and I didn't know crap at that point. Yeah, I was just following the stuff that you were talking about in your interview. And you had, I guess, one day maybe over at the pawn shop, Lakeside Pawn and Jewelry, you had brought it up to me when we were in there chit-chatting about it. That's why I just jumped all over it. It wasn't like ping in my head one day. You know, it was something that you said that actually. So I'm giving credit where credit's due.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm going to show you something since you brought up pawn shops. You can probably see that this guitar doesn't look like a brand new guitar. All of these wear and tear from playing, but I bring that up to you because at Lakeside Pawn, there was an incredible thing that happened. I met a beautiful woman named Yvonne, and she's now Yvonne Martinez on 26 years later. But I knew I needed to get her a ring that was worthwhile, and I also knew that in order to do that, I couldn't afford one of the brand new ones that I had looked at some of these fine jewelry stores, including some locally, including some in Austin. We had looked, and so I wound up pawning a handmade George Washburn guitar. I mean, handmade by George Washburn himself.
Oh.
And I pawned it at Lakeside Pawn, and that was how I could afford to buy her a proper. Well, I think it was an engagement ring at first, and then the wedding bands. And the crazy thing is that years later, whoever bought that guitar, because I knew I couldn't afford to get it back, I just knew that I was going to have to pawn it for whatever I could get, and I knew that I probably was just going to say goodbye to it.
Yeah.
But years later, there it was hanging on the wall, and I talked to Troy, the owner of Lakeside Pawn, Troy Fox. He and I grew up together in Pecan Valley in Marble Falls, and I mentioned to him, I said, that's my old guitar that I pawned up to get married. And he said, well, that old boy, just let it go. He didn't come back for it. And I don't want to talk numbers because Troy did me a big favor. And I said, well, he said, well, I'll sell it back to you. And I said, well, I can't afford to buy it. I know what it's worth.
Yeah.
And he said, well, let me see what I got on it. What I got in it, that's how they say it here in the pawn shop. And it turns out what he had in it, he said, I'll just let you have it for what I got in it. And so I got that, and thank you, Troy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got that guitar back.
Yeah, and we keep bringing up Troy, so that gives me a point to stop here real quick. If you ever, as John was saying, you want to get a wedding ring for the woman, the love of his life. Or, you just need that little bit of money to get you through, or you want to come buy yourself an awesome guitar. Like this Takamine used to be back in the day. Come on
it
down.
Still is. It's just a little worn.
Come on down to 2001 North 281, Marble Falls, Texas, 78654, and talk to any of the staff out here at Lakeside Pawn and Jewelry. And you can reach them on the phone if you would like, 830-693-5626. And on Facebook, Lakeside Pawn and Jewelry. So, no, that's cool.
So I bring that up for two reasons. The other reason is because this is the second Takamine that I've had to retire. The first one I got when I was in college, and it was known as the lawsuit guitar. And the reason it's the lawsuit guitar is because Takamine got sued by Martin. Martin had a legitimate case. Martin won the lawsuit. Takamine was making an exact copy of a Martin guitar, and with the assistance of some of Martin's former employees, they were doing that. Those guitars were amazing, and I had one of those guitars, and if you look at that early guitar, it looked like a Martin. It had a headstock that had the same shape as a Martin and had that same lettering that looked like a Martin, but it didn't say Martin, it said Takamine. Well, that guitar was stolen from me by someone on the street in Austin, and I wound up buying it back at a pawn shop in Austin, Texas. So I bought it twice. The first time at full price, and the second time from the pawn shop. So anyway, it was just an incredible experience.
No, it's amazing. Twice in his lifetime, But God bless it. I hate it when people steal musicians' equipment. You know what I mean? That's just one of the worst things. We're all victims of it.
Well, the lady was really good about it. She she did the same thing Troy did. She said she could tell that I was telling the truth, but because I couldn't prove it was mine, I didn't have the receipt and all that.
Right.
She just let me buy it for what she had in it there. So I bought that guitar for a song, so to speak. But I told her exactly what was in it. I said, you're going to find my lyrics in there. You're going to find a Shub capo. You're going to find, at that time I was playing with Diodario phosphor bronze strings. I said, you're going to find that in there. And I said, you may even, I said, those lyrics are going to have my handwriting. You can even probably look at those lyrics that I keep in there. And I said, you'll know that it's mine. And she believed me and let me have it for what she had.
So what do you mean for a song? Did you write her a song for that guitar?
Well, that's a figure of speech. I bought it for a song. It's a figure, but it was honestly it was $60 some odd I paid to get it back.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's what she had in it.
Guys, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Back in the day when I was doing the Pawn Life, which I occasionally still do, but. I'd get people coming in, and I'll be honest with you, they would come in with $1,000 Fender, and it's like, I want to sell this. My grandpa gave it to me for $50. You know what I mean? And as it's a business. You work off commissions. You know what I mean? So I'd be nice. I'll give you $100, and I know it's worth $1,000, but I can tell the difference between somebody who's a musician and somebody who's not real fast when they would bring the guitars. So, anyways.
Oh yeah, you probably get pretty good at reading people's character.
I read people really, really fast. You know what I mean? And so, but anyhow, okay. So let's talk a little bit. So this guitar right here, it's getting ready to get retired, or you're gonna retire?
I did, and the crazy story is that as I was looking for a replacement for it, I found one guitar in Las Vegas, and they shipped it to me. I went through reverb.com. So many people are trying to reach me. I'm going to turn that upside down. I was keeping that to have notes. Let me start over. So I found one in Las Vegas, and it turned out to be a beautiful instrument, but it had been tampered with, and it was going to require some work to get it where it needed to be. It looked brand new. It was just, it broke my heart to send it back, but I needed something I could play now, not something I needed to get ready. So the second or third guitar I found through the used world, and I didn't pull the trigger because I got a little hesitant about that going through a Guitar Center. They have some used instruments that they post and sell, and there was one in Florida I really fell in love with, and etc. I found bunches of them that I didn't pull the trigger. Finally, I decided, I really want to be able to play it and see if I really like it. So I went to Craigslist in Austin, and this guy had posted exactly what I wanted. Really, it looked just like my guitar, but it was newer looking.
Another Takamine?
I'm sold on these because they're great on the stage. They're great workhorse guitars on the stage. So I contacted him, and he had a name that I wasn't familiar with. But we struck a deal, and he said, "Let's meet." I asked him if we could meet halfway, and he said yes, because he lived in Austin, and I, of course, live in the Marble Falls area. I live in Cottonwood Shores. And so we met in Liberty Hill at my buddy's School of Music, Andrew Wilson, a great fiddler. He and his wife run a School of Music in Liberty Hill. We met there. I was able to plug it in, hear how it sounded, not only acoustically, but also hear the electronics. And it was just amazing. So here's the crazy thing. It turns out he married my old drummer's mother. He was married to her, and he had several guitars that he hardly ever used, and there was a little ding on it, but I said, these little dings don't bother me. I got some dings on my guitar, one little ding on it, but everything else looked brand new. But he was married to my old drummer's mother. Now, my old drummer's mother was also married to my first drummer Larry Salinas.
He's a matchmaker, right?
Yeah, so it's crazy. So
Cupid.
So my very first drummer in a full professional band was Larry Salinas from Marble Falls.
Mm-hmm.
His son Alex Salinas later played drums for me. Well, Larry died unfortunately and left his wife Marilyn as his widow. She wound up marrying the guy who sold me the guitar, and it was just a beautiful guitar. I'm very pleased with it. But anyway, it was just one of those serendipitous moments.
Yeah, it is. It's wild how that went
Yeah.
around right there. You know, I got a long time ago, many years ago, back in when I say my other life in San Antonio, my younger brother lived in Liberty Hill, and there's a little bitty bar called the Crazy Eight, which is no longer there. And I did deal with KLBJ, Battle of the Bands, right? Because I used to have this record label, SLP Records. And so this band, the Larry Salinas band, entered it. I didn't know who anybody was. You know what I mean? I thought my whole world was my original band, Mirror Image, with our original songs, and that was it. You know what I mean? All these other people are, and so it was an amazing night, and that was called the Clash for Cash. And so I had to bring it up because you brought up Larry Salinas.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, man. Totally.
Well, before we get through with this discussion, I want to move forward. That we've talked about my band, and we've talked about the recordings. Well, May 1st, May 2nd, and May 3rd, and we talked about youth music education. We just want to make sure that people know that on May 1st, we have Sean Camp performing for us. He's a Grammy Award winner, and he's our headliner.
And this is for the Fiesta Jam 2025.
Yes. And he and Verlin Thompson have a duo, and critically acclaimed duo, and they will be our headliner. But on Thursday we have classes, master classes with Susan Gibson, who had some great success. She said it was just like a magic, like lightning struck in her life, and she had a multi-million selling single, and she's teaching a master class in songwriting from the Americana perspective, her own perspective. And then Bernie Nelson will be doing his own master class after lunch as well. So we have those classes going for, of course, youth music education is part of our mission. And you can go to fiestajam.org, fiestajam.org, and you can find out more. But so after those classes, then we'll have a song swap. I'll join them, and we'll open for Sean Camp and Verlin Thompson that on a Thursday night, May 1st, a day focused on songwriting. May 2nd, we're focusing on the Tejano and Latino influences, and we have multi-Grammy Award winner Ruben Ramos and the Mexican Revolution headlining that. Yeah. He's won Grammys with his work with Los Lobos and with Los Super 7 and on his own. And coincidentally, Ruben Ramos is also my sister's godfather. My sister Terry. So and
he is Cupid. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's married around him.
So, but anyway, Ruben Ramos, and then my band will do. We're going to focus on the bilingual country stuff that I've released over the years, and we're excited about Friday night. That's May 2nd. And then May 3rd, we've got another Grammy Award winner headlining. Every night, Grammy Award winners are the headliner. So Grammy Award winner Ray Benson brings his band Asleep at the Wheel on Saturday for that event. And this is all going on during Mayfest. So the beautiful thing is, for those of you who are willing to sit at a distance and bring your own blanket and lawn chair, it's free to the public. If you want to support our mission, you can buy a $100 ticket and get a VIP seat closer in, and we'll have people waiting on you, serving you, and we'll have restrooms closer for the VIPs to have. So in that area to the near the stage. So anyway, that's on May 1st. Focusing on songwriters, Sean Camp, Verlin Thompson. Grammy Award winners headlining. May 2nd, focusing on the Hispanic community, the Latino community, and the Tejano sound. Legendary Ruben Ramos, another Grammy Award winner. That's May 2nd. May 3rd, that's Asleep at the Wheel, multiple Grammy Award winners. And we have some, again, focusing on kids, we have some kids actually helping open that show, the Lake Travis Fiddlers. And so, and then Blakely and Martinez, or Mike and I will rekindle our duo and do a show there as well on May 3rd. So anyway, I just want to make sure before I know we've covered a lot of ground, that I reemphasize that's really important for our community.
I had an opportunity to interview Richard, I guess a little less than a year ago, and he was bringing up about y'all combining with the Mayfest, and I was like, dude, that'd be genius. It is. It does. It's the smartest thing, because it brings out more. It has people out there who normally probably wouldn't want to participate because of their lifestyle or whatever it is, and now they're all going to be there. But it'd be a great time. That's the Fiesta Jam 2025, fiestajam.org. Okay, well, John, we're going to flip this album over, okay? And you got your songs on here, and I want you to tell our nice little audience here what 2 songs they're going to be hearing here shortly.
Well, I'm going to let you hear a couple that I've co-written with my buddies over the years. One of those is, people have heard from me so often. Maybe I should allow you to hear a Blakely song and a Martinez song, and here's why. Why don't we focus on Where the Bridges Burn? Because we all sing on that one, and I just love the way it sounds. And then the other fun one is, I'll let you play the Poor Day song, as in Port Aransas. Okay.
Poor Day song.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we go, John. I want to thank you for coming back on the show again. We covered a lot. He's one of my valued guests, and I hope to have him back on real soon. And here you go. Here's 2 songs back to back: Where the Bridges Burn and Poor Day by the Outlaw Farm. See you next time.
Packed my bags in such a rush. It don't take long, I don't own that much. I stood up and I set my crutch down where the bridges burn. Highways change when the clouds fall in. Pull into town where the lights are dim. Close the blinds on oblivion, down where the bridges burn. Thinking twice about turning round. Thoughts are measured pound for pound. I'm always one to stand my ground, down where the bridges burn. I paid that toll man without a word. I take wings to a broken bird who tries to sing but cannot be heard where the bridges burn. The world is frozen outside this room, going nowhere no time soon. But the ice, it melts underneath the moon where the bridges burn. Thinking twice about turning round. Thoughts were measured pound for pound. I'm always one to stand my ground, down where the bridges burn. Now somehow lost, blown across the avenue. Is every way I broke down that leads back to you. Now on the other side of the chance, first time for a second glance, we'll start the fire with the circumstance where the bridges burn. Packed my bags in such a rush. Don't take long, I don't own that much. I stood up and I set my crutch down where the bridges burn. Where the bridges burn. Down where the bridges burn. No way, Jose, I'm in Port A today. I ain't taking your call. Got my toes in the sand, a cold beer in my hand, and no worries at all. Whatever you have to say, you can keep it at bay, 'cause we're having a ball. Sorry, I gotta go, Joe, and put this phone away. Hanging up, hanging out in Port A, on that Port A causeway. I'm a lost cause come Friday. Leave the work week behind me, where the world can't find me. Time to unplug this phone, it won't leave me alone. I ain't taking the bait, yeah, I'm sure it can wait. Every time Island Time wins the day. No way, Jose, I'm in Port A today. I ain't taking your call. Got my toes in the sand, a cold beer in my hand, and no worries at all. Whatever you have to say, you can keep it at bay, 'cause we're having a ball. Sorry, I gotta go, Joe, and put this phone away. Hanging up, hanging out in Port A. Just brought my phone to these sand dunes so I can listen to my iTunes. Put my ringer on silent to hear the sounds of the island, like the gulls in the air, the wind in what's left of my hair. And those tugboat whales may be miles away, but they're a hell of a lot closer than Monday. No cares, don't have to be anywhere. The only thing on my plate is the catch of the day. These smartphones, I don't know, I wanna be left alone. I don't need to tell time, I can tell day from night. But that caller ID keeps on flashing at me. Take my phone and my frown, turn them both upside down. Guess it ain't as smart as yours truly. No way, Jose, I'm in Port A today. I ain't taking your call. Got my lady beside me, she's there to remind me. Got no worries at all. Whatever you have to say, you can keep it at bay. Yeah, we're having a ball. Sorry, I gotta go, Joe, and put this phone away. Hanging up, hanging out in Port A. Hanging up, hanging out in Port A.
You want some cash and you want it fast, just go to Lakeside Pawn. If you need a loan for your office or home, just go to Lakeside Pawn. They got instruments and strings and guns and lots of things. So remember, if your loved ones have been gone, you can't get cash for that ring and a new guitar to sing. Just go to Lakeside Pawn. Just go to Lakeside Pawn.